music might be loud, so just prep your noggin.
The weekly wave. Oh, I can't spend the nose. The weekly wave. Oh, can't tell me home. The weekly wave. Did you see it? The weekly wave. I'm glad you stopped by. Take him to him, baby. Take him up again. Tell me who the weekly wave. Oh, yeah. The weekly wave. Did you know the weekly wave?
So you want to buy in on a shake and steak together? You trying to get some business going, bro?
Sure, yeah. Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Kyle Hackett, brother. Thanks for coming
on, man. Was that intro music off new EP, maybe?
No, that's just some nonsense that I came home a little turnt one day, and I was like, we've needed new intro music for a long time for this show.
Dude, that's banging.
Thanks, brother.
That's banging.
You know what really impressed me on that? And I've been forgetting the name of it. Flex Time on Logic. Like,
yes.
You know, I played drums on that. They sounded awful. I flex timed the fuck out of it, and we ended up in an okay place.
Was it just like too slow, too fast?
No, it didn't click.
Just didn't, okay.
You know, it's just like I was trying to get my pocket together, and the more I play drums, the more I realize how difficult that shit is.
Oh yeah.
So, it's as someone that plays a lot of percussion on their instrument, do you ever dabble off guitar onto like some hand drums or anything like that?
So I played. Let's see. I'm trying to remember the band name. So it's one of the owners. You got Chris, Mike, Kevin, the reggae band, Positive Libations. That's what it is. And I got to get up there and play a little hand drum with them, which was fun.
Oh, I got some freeze going on here. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good.
What the fuck's going on? Let me jump screens real quick, see if that fixes it. Kinda. All right, we should be okay. I'm gonna stop touching shit. Positive Libations, is that involved with the Element Tree Levity Project at all?
No.
Okay, why do I feel like I've seen them on a show or something together?
Maybe a fretboard.
Okay.
So they play a decent amount there, probably like once every 2 months.
Okay.
But it's got Chris, it's got Mike, it's got Brad Plank, who's one of the part owners.
Yeah.
Kind of did the brewing thing as well. And then Kevin, I'm spacing on his last name, starts with an M. Sorry, Kevin, if you watch this. But they're all bad. They're great.
And how does the transition from on guitar percussion to that feel for you?
Oh, I'm terrible.
It's weird to see guys
so bad.
Guys have great palm method and things
like
that.
You got to palm mute it, you got to hit it like right in the right spot.
Yeah.
And or else you just sound like a toddler, just drumming on dried skin.
You know? and the release of it as well, like getting off the drum is such an important part of not losing those overtones and things like that. And I watched my buddy the other day. He was doing like, he'll be playing, like some kind of like open A phrasing, something like that. And like pull harmonics that way, just right hand percussive, and it's kind of part of his groove. And I thought
I love that.
Yeah, I don't know how to fucking pull it off though.
No.
It's like you got to get off that thing as quickly as possible.
Yeah, you got to sit down and you got to practice that.
Yeah.
Like you're not just going to be able to pull that out one day.
No, you won't wake up with that ability. It's gonna frustrate you too much.
Yeah, for sure.
Dude, you know who came to Memorial Hall the other day who changed my life as a kid was John Butler. You ever listen to John Butler?
I don't think so. I'm so bad with names, dude.
Yeah. He's a great song called Ocean that maybe you've seen on YouTube. It's like this guy with a 12 string that's missing like the double G, and he runs his 12 string acoustic through a Marshall, and it sounds fucking awesome.
I love that.
Yeah, dude, it's heavy.
It's like a little classical gas action. It's the only thing I could reference to that.
Dude, do they run their stuff through Marshalls?
Oh, I have no clue. Probably not.
I bet
little Tommy Emmanuel.
Yeah, there should be like a rig rundown though of like Tenacious D and what they do with their acoustics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jason Mraz, I watched one of his videos where he was running like his nylon through some Dr. Z's. And so like I got a nylon and a Dr. Z. I plugged that shit in. Awful. Just awful.
Bad?
Yeah, horrible.
I bet you have to doctor it up a pretty good amount.
Exactly. You have to sweeten that thing up and probably have some nice compression on the way in.
Yeah.
It's too frail to go in DI,
Got to EQ that bird.
Yeah. How do you switch your pedal board between acoustic and electric? Because you use the same rig for that,
yeah,
right?
I don't.
Okay.
It's really only just toying with the little Wampler green pedal that I have, which is just distortion gain.
Okay.
So with the acoustic, you gotta pump that gain up a little bit if you want any kind of distortion. But with the electric, you gotta tone it down a little bit. But besides that, it pretty much stays the same through and through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. It's such a like. Back in the day, I was trying to do a similar thing. It's like distortion pedals or any kind of boost is where you really start to have just this huge flux. And like, I don't really understand. Is that an impedance issue, or like, what is the difference in guitar signal like that?
I have no clue. All I know is that more distortion means more harmonics, which is a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Gary Clark is a good example of that.
In what aspects?
Just like, he'll hit like, what is it, where it's like the pull on, like that stuff. And if you have like fucking distortion on that, or his sound is so big anyways, it just fucking rings and just moans and all that stuff.
You get that nice rub within there. Did he play, what was his guitar setup like in concert the other day?
Oh, he had like probably seven or eight guitars that he was switching back and forth.
Yeah, he still played that, like that ES330, like that hollow body Gibson with the P90s.
He played the hollow body, for sure. I couldn't tell you the other names.
There's a video of him playing something with like Beyonce and Ed Sheeran on like one of the shows, and he has like that signature like midnight blue like ES330 or something like that, and I fucking love that.
He's got some good looking guitars,
yeah,
for
man.
sure.
He's also just a beautiful man, just chef's kiss, gets it,
It's not fair. It's not fair, dude. I was listening to Funkadelic on the way over here.
Yeah.
And Spotify knew the assignment. They put me on so many like new funk bands that I haven't heard from, like right off the rip. I was like, okay, let's go Spotify. We'll take that.
Dude, isn't it weird to think that like Spotify's curation combined with an AI at some point is going to be really a different game of how it applies? Like, do you think that's going to be the new record label is the AI and how it distributes music to you, or do you think it's going to open it up more?
I think any way to appeal to the listener and like a way to find different music that you're going to enjoy, and as that gets better, I think it'll only help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's something for everybody now. Like, songs can be one-to-one, and like it doesn't need to be a huge international smash to end up in your lap now.
Yeah.
And because of that, like, people's favorite bands get more and more peculiar, which may be more endearing and may be harder on the market, but
sure. Well, I'm sure they'll still have the algorithm that'll push the top 100 Billboard songs in your face, and all that. But still, hopefully it'll give some other people some opportunities to have some listens.
Yeah. Well, it's weird to think right now in an office somewhere, there's someone at Spotify or Pandora especially, where they listen to new music and they run it through their rigor of labels. Like, what does this song make me feel? What is the instrumentation like? What is the language? And then we feed that information into a database, and then it might be on your Discover Weekly. Right. And like, that's a miracle for most people, man. Like, think of the artists that would have no idea who you are if it weren't for an app pitching you as just a sound similar.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, we're very fortunate in that regard. It's also difficult to get people personally convinced because there is so much good stuff out there.
Sure.
So it's like, why would I listen to your shit,
Right.
Dude, I had an interesting argument with a guy on YouTube today because of a recent podcast. I wouldn't even say it was an argument. It could be an argument if he keeps coming back at it, but we'll see. But it was like, who do you make art for? The listener or the audience?
The listener or the audience?
No, never mind. The creator or the audience?
So do you make it for yourself or for the other people? The
yeah,
listeners?
Exactly. Do you make this for you or do you make it for them?
I feel like if you make it for yourself, in turn, it benefits the listener, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because, like, you already know songs are going to be interpreted different ways by everybody that listens to it, right? So if you just make it true to yourself and be real about it, I feel like that'll push more.
Yeah. When I think you develop an audience based on how much fun you're having with it.
Sure.
Like, there's a lot of awesome acts out there that objectively on their instrument suck, but they have the time of their life doing it, so all that washes by the wayside. It's like, I just love how raw and loving this is. It's like, I think that's punk in a lot of ways. It's like, I don't even want to appeal to you on the instrument. I'm just going to appeal to myself, and that kind of genuine expression is resonant, and it does gain an audience. People feel like it's for them, but maybe that's where the sellout issue comes into play.
Sure. Real recognizes real. Always.
That's a very good way to put it.
A very simple way, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I think we all have a I heard today, like, in the modern age, because of social media, everyone's trying to be famous. Everyone's trying to get recognized. Everyone's trying to be approved on by the masses. And that's a blinder to finding out who the fuck you are.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's going to get in the way of you finding out what you like, because you're always worried about someone looking over your shoulder and asking, what is that, or why is this, or how is this, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. It just comes back to that. The real recognizes real, right? It's like, even with the social media aspect too, everybody's trying to compare themselves to other people. It's like, oh, they have more followers, or like they have better content, or like whatever you want to compare yourself to. And it's like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like, if you're enjoying what you're doing, just keep doing that.
Yeah.
You know?
So tell me about this, tell me about the feels coming about. Because I don't know if you've ever told me about why a band emerged in your solo act as like this blossoming of these 10 songs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It was like 8 years ago. I was doing, it was like right out of high school, Battle of the Bands at the Underground.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it all started. I just kind of asked those guys. I think my dad met Chris at a bar somewhere, and I was playing, and he was there. I was like, hey, I'll give you $50 to play like djembe with my son, or like something like that. And he did. And then he was like, hey, I got this guy named Mike Wally that plays bass. I'm going to bring him in. Let's practice, see how it feels. And it felt good, the feels, but...
Was it really like that? Let's see how it feels. And we're like,
pretty
that
much.
feels, you know?
Pretty much. I mean, so we were trying to figure out band names for a while. And Mitch LeGros, who is now at Coal Mine Records, he's like, okay, so what if we take everybody's last names and we put them together? And I was trying to go for like, because we're kind of a pocket band, right? Which kind of presented the feels aspect. And he came up with Ellison's Wallet, which it's Chris Ellison's, it'd be Ellison. And he's a drummer too, so we're kind of fitting in his pocket. Ellison's Wallet with Wally and Hackett. I was like, I love that, dude. Let's roll with it. And Chris is like, nope, we're not doing it. The last name can't be it. I was like, okay, that's fine. So we just kept talking about it. And,
dude, that's an awesome name.
I know, right? I was like, dude, that's sick.
Yeah, but I can also understand where someone's like, I'm not the face of this project.
Sure.
I don't want to be the face of this project. But he should use that for something at some point.
Something, dude. Yeah, I was like, that's pretty sick.
Maybe it's financial advice from a drummer, where it's like, do you have life savings? Well, you need new hardware.
I love that. Come down to Ellison's Wallet.
Yeah.
Right here in Evendale, on the corner.
Bango.
Yeah. But no, so we ended up winning that Battle of the Bands, starting the recording process a little bit. It really didn't go anywhere. And then we just kept playing out. I think we took actually like probably a year or two break, and where we weren't playing too much. I was doing like duo stuff with Mike a lot. So I forget the year, but Chris got sick for a little bit, probably like 6 months. So he was out of commission. So Mike and I were playing together. And then once Chris got healthy, we came back to it and started playing again.
Damn, that's tough, man. We're like, if you're sick for anything over a month, you start to probably question everything about getting back to normal life.
It was serious. I forget what he had. But anyways, yeah, he's fine now and all that fun stuff. But it was pretty bad.
Yeah, so there's 2 years of almost hiatus of like, the band in terms of personnel is still around, but the band's not actively crafting.
Right. And like fretboard was starting to come around in a big way. Chris was super busy with that, obviously. I think Mike was still painting, but at a point Mike came onto fretboard as a driver and then switched to brewing.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, we love the fretboard family. I'm repping the chain right now.
So what did fretboard mean for your development as an artist?
Big time, a lot. All the owners there, everybody it's a big family. That's all it is, and that's what I love about Cincy too, is the community. And so they're all big music lovers too. they ended up giving us a space kind of to practice whenever we wanted. We were able to go up on stage at like an actual stage and play in front of people, which is nice.
Yeah. To walk out of your rehearsal space and say, "Hey, we want an audience for this now," is a pretty bizarre thing in like in a space setup, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Are there any songs that really clicked in those moments?
Probably all of them. That was like our practice space for the album. So we would kind of sit in there and figure out some things and go back and forth on that kind of stuff. And then we were able to take that straight from that practice room to the stage,
Yeah.
you know, and see how people reacted to it.
And when you started the album process, like, how many of the songs, as songs, not arrangements, were there versus like how many of the arrangements were already kind of decided on?
The arrangements kind of came into play with the band. So like most of the songs on the album were started on just solo stuff with the loop pedal, and it's like, how do you transition that to a band feel and then a recording feel, and what do we have to tweak and change? So a lot of the arrangements came with the band aspect, but the songs themselves were mostly kind of graphed on the guitar.
Like they're easily part of your set. They're recurring themes that the guys know, but it's just organizing it down to what are we gonna say in under 4.5 minutes, 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Which song took the biggest leap from song to arrangement to finished?
Probably Sober.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you remember what Sober kind of started out as and how it changed?
Yeah. So when I first wrote Sober, it was more like, I don't know what your writing process is. And I'd love to actually talk to you about that a little bit later. But like, so mine is, I'm a musician first, which I'm trying to not be that and more focused on writing. So like the melodies always come first. So I had that melody down, but I didn't know if I wanted it to be like an R&B tune or a country song or like whatever have you. So it really just started with like that melody,
Turn on
that kind of thing.
Would you run a little bit of it for him?
Yeah, so it's just like there's always that like repeating throughout the whole song, and that's always been there. That's always been there, but that melody was always there. But then once we switched it to the band, it was like, how do we take that kind of transy feel and replicate that in a studio aspect? And we decided on, let's not do full kit and let's just do djembe and kick and just kind of ride it from there.
Yeah.
And so that's what we ended up doing. And then, you know, he had some splashy stuff on the top end, but that really helped kind of keep that flow, the transy stuff going on.
And like the trance, you know, textures, is that all your own discovering through delay pedals over the years, or is that something that you really intentionally put on this album as a new thing for you?
It's all looping helps that a lot. But like I feel like the textures came from choir back in the day.
Interesting.
Yeah, like so I was like in Cincinnati boys choir when I was super young, straight into junior high choir, high school choir. And it really teaches you harmonies and like how to form textures with that. So yeah, I would equate that to a lot of just choir.
When we talk about choir textures, are you talking about more of like voices or words? Because there's something really interesting about like choirs don't have a lot of distortion, the saturation, the things we like. But there's some people that can do that with their voice when it's just them. Like Chris Cornell has some saturation naturally.
Sure.
So talk about like when you kind of discovered different textures within that group.
Yes. So it was a lot of classical stuff. Some classical chords, as you know, kind of created the foundation for what we're doing. So it's just kind of messing around with those, a lot of like dissonant chords, but you're doing it with voices and you're kind of hearing it throughout the whole choral realm. So it's always, it's lodged in your head, and then it's like, okay, how do I get that and translate it to a guitar or a piano kind of thing?
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Absolutely. Well, I think there's something really special about hitting dissonance vocally with a large group of people and then resolving it. Like, people don't realize how much fun dissonance and consonance is until you're in on the joke, you know what I mean? Like, you know what it means to add tension and relief.
Yes.
And like for guitar players, like our first introduction of that, it's like a 7 chord. Like I need to get off of that. Like I need to resolve off.
Sure.
But in terms of your vocal, like I didn't come up in a choral background, so I never really thought about that. There was a moment in my childhood where, like, the first time I started screaming during a cover song, you get some kind of pop from the audience, and you
Sure.
remember those moments. It's like you start to find out what kind of dissonance you can add to your voice based on what gets crowd reaction. But at that point, I didn't know it was dissonance. I thought it was just enthusiasm. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And I feel like they kind of go hand in hand. Like,
Yeah.
you could say that.
Kind of relates to the punk thing we were talking about, where
Yes.
it's like people don't care that it's perfect. People care that it's passionate. And there's something about the internet that lacks, because it's not in person, it lacks passion. It lacks the personal euphoria of the PA system is screaming,
Sure.
the lights are going, you're 2 cocktails in.
That heart's pumping with the bass and the kick, you know.
Man, what a different feeling when you truly
sure.
can feel it in your body, a kick drum, you know, and a warm bass tone. You know, something like Mike Wally through a couple of 18s, you know?
Yeah, there's almost something primal about it.
Yeah.
You know, like it just hits the root of everything. It's very nice.
Yeah, dude. There's a crazy interview on Rogan about the pyramids maybe being made by by resonance of the rocks. You know what I mean? Like you use think about like phasing, how you can have like, okay, here's the crest of the wave and the base of the wave, and because of that, they negate. Versus if we have 2 crests that line up, we've doubled the amplitude of the wave. Like, and then you think about a resonant frequency in a room. This room loves the low B, or this room loves the G.
Sure.
If you're standing on that stage and someone hits that resonant frequency and they just let it hang, you feel like you could lift off the fucking ground.
Yeah, you're not lying.
Yeah. So if you amplify that beyond the technology that we have right now, but maybe someone else did, it's like I could very easily see a rock getting off the ground.
100%. Like, I love that you mentioned Rogan. It's like, yeah, dude, like, I forget who he was speaking to, but yeah, talking about a lost ancient civilization.
He's probably the Ancient Apocalypse with Graham Hancock.
The Graham Hancock
Yeah, and Randall
guy,
Carlson. Dude,
yeah.
so I watched that whole series, and I fucking loved it.
It was great.
Then I was on a family vacation. It's just me, my mom, my dad. And my mom gets some kind of awful cold the first day we get there. So she's locked up in a hotel room while me and my dad are kicking on the beach. She was like, what should I watch? And I was like, Ma, you should watch Ancient Apocalypse.
Did it blow her mind?
Dude, she's taking cold medicine watching this. She's like, it was pretty crazy, man.
Low-key tripping out.
Dude, just having like way too deep an experience. But if nothing else, to entertain the idea that there's other options for how we got here.
Yeah.
And we never know the full truth unless we're there. And even in that case, like we're kind of finding out we don't know the full truth. Like how many people can't recall their family Christmas the same way that their sibling can recall it. It's like
Very true.
you had different experiences of the Christmas of 2004. You know, you cared about different things. So, of course, you don't line up on the what and the how.
Sure, perception is everything.
Yeah, man. Are there any songs in your catalog that you've changed your perception on? They mean something different to you now than they did then?
It's a good question.
I always find that funny,
That's
man.
a banger. That's a good question.
Like the song like Yesterday by McCartney. Like Yesterday is this beautiful broken-hearted lullaby in a lot of ways. But for me, it's just a Beatles hit as a kid. It's one of the first things I learned to sing and play that made me feel confident.
Sure.
But then, so my Nana took me to every guitar lesson I ever went to. She was the person that believed in me in the music from the jump and really pushed it. So a special place in my heart.
Love Nana.
Yeah, she gave me her husband's guitar. I never got to meet my grandpa. He passed away long before I came along. She gave me this broken guitar of his when I was probably 11. It sat in a corner. 2 years before she passed, I started getting this guitar repaired because I wanted to play it for her. The last thing I did with my grandmother while she is on this earth was get to play this guitar for her that belonged to her spouse. And I played Yesterday. And that changed that song to me. Because now Yesterday is with her. It's not, it's not a romantic love. It's one of the most maternal figures that life has ever given me.
Damn, that's beautiful.
Yeah, man. And you think
On your
about
grandpa's guitar, dude. That's
Dude,
special.
that's that old Epiphone there, that crusty old arch top. It's like that thing is that thing sat in a closet for 25 years. It's dry and it's weird, but it makes me feel like I know somebody I didn't know. You know
That's
what I'm
awesome. Ooh.
Here's something sadistic I want to do. Either when I get a hip replaced or when I pass, I am demanding of my fiance that she takes my femur or any kind of big bone she can and replace all my saddles with bone. And don't tell the people that are going to be grossed out. Like, don't make a scene about it.
Yeah.
But it'll probably sound better. It's way more ethical than whalebone. And it's very intimate. And it's like, for the people that would enjoy that kind of a thing, to know that I'm literally resonating the same strings that I could be postpartum, like,
That's pretty crazy, actually.
that's rad. So I have hopes. I have hopes I can do it with my own hip one day, that I'll outlive this set of hips and I can just replace those and get to play on it myself.
Dude, yeah, and then once you make it big, I mean, it's gonna even be worth more too. You know, you got Matt Waters' bone and
Dude, I just want like my great nephew or something like that to
Yeah.
be playing on this. Like, dude, my mom told me that my grandpa's bone is right here. I don't know if that's true or not. I didn't meet the guy, but how gross is that? And it's like, could be neat.
I like it.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
You got any real sentimental guitars in your life, Kyle?
I don't.
Really?
No.
You don't feel sentimental about the Ovation?
Not yet.
Okay.
No, not really. I never name my guitars or anything like that.
There's an interesting personality in that, but do you feel like your songs, your guitars have songs in them?
In a way, maybe. Yeah, not really. I don't know. I feel like it's maybe the Ovation would probably be the closest connection to a guitar that I've had.
Yeah.
Um,
But I can understand not feeling sentimental about it right now when you just moved out of the utility phase of it. It's like
sure.
that guitar was your tried and true, and then it became a little less true. You know what I mean? Like it couldn't do everything you were asking of it at that point.
Yeah.
The fact that you taped that battery into that shit, that's by far the sketchiest. Like,
dude, the amount of times that like I'm so scared because I know this duct tape is loose that I'm gonna hit a kick drum on this like low E string and it's just gonna pop. And then you gotta pop it back in so it's pop pop. And then I'm looping too, so now the pop is in the loop. It's like I just got 5 pops from one hit, but
you do more with that one loop looper than most people do with like the granddaddies though, brother.
dude,
Like,
I love that thing.
I don't know how you get away with it though, man. Like, I've tried to use those. The double tap to stop is so confusing. You use the undo switch on that so brilliantly, and I don't understand that. Like,
Thanks, brother.
you'll add a chorus, then redact a chorus, and then be able to navigate through the verse.
Well, see, you would be fine. You can do it too. I've been using that same loop pedal. Like I've had 2 of them in about a 6-year span. But that's the only loop pedal I've ever used. So it's like it's just another foot to me at this point. You know what I mean? I've used it so much that.
And do you watch the one thing that I like about that compared to other loopers is the visual ring. Like, to know the quadrant that you're playing is a very fascinating touch for a looper.
Yeah.
But do you even look at that when you're using it?
I look at what color it is.
Okay.
So full solid green is obviously it's looping but not recording.
Gotcha.
And if it's red and green, then you're looping on top of your loop.
Yeah.
So if I look down, that's all I'm looking at.
Gotcha.
And then that just means if I want to record, I just got to hit it again. If I don't want to, I got to hit it one more time, you know.
And in what circumstances do you get rid of a loop versus ride out a loop that you may not be thrilled with? Like,
if it's bad, if it's like bad, where like, you know,
irreparably fucked.
Yeah, I'm gonna restart it. But like if it's like a couple milliseconds off, usually I cover it up with either like a bass note or like a delayed kick. You know what I mean? Like, just so you're kind of making that mistake a little bit less of a mistake.
Yeah. If I flam something on like my snares, especially, like, it's very noticeable. That tambourine is like my blanket stroke.
That go-to.
You know? Yeah,
you
exactly.
gotta have it, dog. You
Yeah,
know?
you need something that's kind of like it's gonna allow you to move on. Because as much as watching you make the loops is part of the show, I feel like
it's gotta go.
Yeah, people. I feel like people get bored watching me remake that loop.
That is probably my biggest criticism that I get.
Really?
Is like, man, he takes forever to set up his loops, which is fair. Like, honestly, like if you're in a live setting and you don't and you don't really know like what's going on. You just see a guy with an acoustic like for 30 seconds doing this and setting something up. I definitely get where they're coming from, and that the show does have to go on, but it is fun to set it up.
Yeah, I think there's, Sheeran does it in such a different way. And Sheeran really owned the gimmick in some ways, but I think also like the way he owned the gimmick is a way that everyone else can own the gimmick. Like get people in on what's going on. Explain the looper to them and the why, and then not leaning on it all the time in that way. Like I think a lot of Nashville guys, especially, have made the comment to me where it's like, if I'm sitting here without a looper and you're looping, and it's like, now we're not on an equal playing field.
Sure.
So they want you to play in and out of it and show that you can go without that kind of crutch.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And it definitely is a crutch. It is.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's a level of engagement in the music. It's like you can't imagine it without some of these layers. Like some of my songs don't work without the groove that I care to play. And could
100%.
I play that in a simplified way and try to get that groove across? Yeah.
It's not gonna be the same.
Yeah, exactly. That's not what gets me out of bed in the morning. It's like,
right.
So then I got to be this guy at the end of a songwriter round who's coming in with an 808 on the kick. It's
right.
like, okay, maybe I should thin that up a little bit.
Yeah, that is always like something that I've been trying to work on being aware of more. Like I'm always like yeah, because it is like if you're just sitting there with an acoustic, let's say we have like 4 people on a round. And one guy has a loop pedal and like a looping board. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, let's see how we work around this in a different way, approach it differently.
Yeah. Do you ever play songs that you loop heavily on without the looper, just freshen up?
Like what?
Like originals in your set or covers?
That I play without a loop?
Yeah.
Yes. When I'm with the band, I hardly use the looper.
That's such an interesting change to me because like you're still thinking multi-layered parts, but because the guys are there, you need to pick one.
And dude, I struggle with that, and I've been trying to get better about being a lead guitar player where I'm not just doing chord stuff, but I'm like doing chords, but also fluttering around different areas. Mm-hmm. And I've also been looking into trying to incorporate another piece into the band. We were talking to actually Danny Hunt played with us a little bit ago, and he's a fantastic pianist. I mean, his beds are beautiful.
Nice.
But it's trying to figure out, okay, what's the next step for the band to make it more applicable for bigger stage stuff. Mm-hmm. 'Cause that's really at least my goal for the next year or two going for. I want to play festivals. I want to play bigger shows. I love playing at the Corner Pub. I love playing at MLTs. I love playing like, all the bars around the city, but these festivals, like that's where my heart wants.
Yeah. Well, I think variety is what you need to stay sane in this game. It's like I have my frequent rooms where I go and I work out and I get comfy and I try new shit and I take risks, but then I need hot 45s in front of people where it's high pressure and I'm surrounded by talent, or else you never get the pressure to make a diamond out of something. It's like, festival season approaching is something that gets in people's head and makes you want to work harder.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's a lot of multi-layered guitar parts on the album, right? Mm-hmm. When you think about applying that to keys, do you want to give up like the chordal side of what you do and be more of just a lead player?
Yes, absolutely. Just because like for me, I think that the album is there's melodic lines all over through it that are played with guitar. Mm-hmm. And if there's a keyboardist or another like rhythm guitarist that can play just those foundation chords and I would love to do the melody lines because, that's where my brain is most of the time. All the melodies, baby.
Yeah. Well, if you already wrote them too, like to be lacking in them, feel empty, like it feels like a scratch unfulfilled. You spent all this time making this arrangement perfect. To not be able to execute the arrangement's kind of like I'm angry.
I swear every time that I like miss a melodic note and like let's say it's let me think of a song that has so like Who Cares has that like just little reggae solo in it and it's super simple, but like I swear sometimes if I miss that I just go crazy. Let's see, is this tune? Oh no, that's Blue Brain. Right?
Yeah.
But like if you don't have that it's like okay, now it's just empty.
Yeah.
you have to have that little line. But
It's only empty to you in that kind of a way, but
yeah, but I hate it.
I feel, especially horn lines, where it's like I audibly can't compete with that. Like I just don't move air in that kind of a way. And keys, like we were talking about with the chorus, like have such a different texture.
Yeah.
Keys can have unlimited sustain and swirl and movement that is trancy, but at the same time it's they have 10-note access.
Yeah.
We have 6-note access.
Very true.
Bass players tops 3. If you're playing 4 notes as a bass player at a time, you're out the band. You know what I mean? It's like it's such an unfair balance of things, man.
I agree. And with the keys, like you can have that like patty texture, but you can get funky with it. You can break it up, get some Rhodes action, some squanch.
Some squanch.
Some squanch. Get out of here, I'm squanching here.
Is there anything off the album that you mind running for the people?
Whoo. No loop pedal, huh? You're gonna put me on the spot?
I'm sitting here. I'll cover any chords you want.
Sure.
Ooh. Those, dude, I just ordered the fattest box of elixirs that the internet would let me order.
Nice.
I need to save some money on these. Like, I can't be spending $25 a pack. This is absurd.
I love it.
But those are starting. Elixirs get
They
holes
sound
in
good,
them.
though.
They do.
Are these old? When did you change them?
They're pretty old at this point. But like elixirs are so weird because other strings will break long before they will. Like I'll run through Martins, I'll run through Ernie Balls, but those like right above the fret, you'll get a literal chip in that exterior coil, and you'll be running.
Dude, I had that happen like a couple weeks ago, and I didn't know what was going on.
Dude, it's a weird
Like I had
feeling.
a dead spot right here, and I looked, and there was just a little indent.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, I can't play an A sharp anymore.
and exactly, it's like it kills the string. But I've also heard people say like because of the coating on elixirs, they sound compressed. It's like doesn't bother me at all.
No.
But like I get the like, real purists that just love the sound of an acoustic guitar. It's like that's what they care about. I'll tell you who told me that. Mike Reeder, who
Okay.
obviously has exquisite taste.
Sure.
Like that guy, he sells guitars to Joe Bonamassa and Jeff Beck. It's like he probably knows what he's talking
Joe
about.
Bonamassa, man, golly, I've seen him in concert a couple times. He's
Really?
fire.
I've never seen him in concert. I've
He's
watched
great.
enough videos. I feel like for the blues legacy, that's the guy. That's
Sure.
the guy who has looked at all of his heroes in every single nuance that they're playing and tried to figure out how to get it underhand. And he'll show you all of that in a night of playing. But then when I try to figure out who sonically is Joe Bonamassa, it's like that's where I think a lot of us get tied up. It's like
Yeah.
he doesn't sound like him. He sounds like them. He sounds like all of them though. Like so
Very
that
true.
is him in some ways.
Very true. He is. Yeah, that's a good explanation of him, actually.
And I think Mayer can sometimes do that. Mayer has funny moments where we'll talk about the difference between Albert and BB or something like that, and he nails it. But
Yeah.
I think his percussive acoustic guitar player on a Strat tone is what put him in a different category.
Sure.
Stevie Ray Vaughan's is faster than those fucking guys.
Yeah, dude. Who was saying it? I think it was Clapton that said whenever Stevie Ray Vaughan got sober, when I think he was 25, 26, and I'm probably murdering this, but he said he was hands down the best guitar player ever.
Dude, that's crazy. Clapton has Clapton's gotten weird flack in the last couple of years, but like Clapton's not only one of the greatest players of all time, but he has paid homage and seen up and comers and given them space to do the thing. Like
And a platform for sure.
yeah. The first time I got one of those Crossroads records, and you get to watch that whole show. Like I learned about Kev Mo for the first time.
Yeah.
I learned about Tedeschi Trucks.
Yeah.
It's like these are bands that a young guitar player, is forever changed by.
Yeah.
And it's because Clapton cared enough to be like, stop watching me and look at this shit. Like the things are going down.
Very true. The ego is out of the way, which is beautiful.
Yeah, and maybe he does have some ego. I mean, he
That's
did take
all right.
George Harrison's wife, I think.
I mean,
is that vice versa?
I have no clue.
There's a really funny comic strip where it's like a cartoon George Harrison, a cartoon Clapton. He says, "Okay, you take the wife, I'll take the Les Paul." And it's like, did you ever see that line the Guitar Center put out of like Eric Clapton's signatures? And it was his main Strat, and it's like a 50s Strat. And then there's this Les Paul that belonged to Harrison that he gave to Clapton at some point. And it's like this great red wine Les Paul. It's fucking beautiful.
No.
Yeah,
I want it though. Now that I need it.
Yeah.
You're a great salesman too. I need it right now.
dude. If I was selling you Tempur-Pedics, we'd really have some shit going on. I'll get you sweating through a mattress in like 15 minutes.
Dude, I could barely sleep last night. I was so hot. I don't know. You ever get that, like, where your feet are just like, it's like your whole legs are just super tingly and like,
dude,
and like you're just restless, and then I'm hot and I'm like, I'm not gonna sleep.
I'm always convinced if I'm sweating at night, I didn't sweat enough that day.
Ooh.
And it's like, so I try to get myself to break a sweat in a day and work out, or get a sweat on my set.
Sure.
And that helps me sleep so much better, man. But if I get like that clammy, I'm gonna be up for 4 hours. Like I get up and I just take off. Like,
I was so pissed too, because like that day or yesterday I was doing laundry all fucking day, probably like 8 loads of laundry. Okay, I just want to knock it out, including my sheets, my pillowcases, and my blanket, and now I just sweated in it for 4 hours. I'm gonna have to wash it again. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Dude, honest to God, I did the exact same thing yesterday. I did my sheets and all my laundry,
Dude, so
and I
much
was
laundry.
relatively sweaty yesterday.
Yeah. I worked up a sweat. I probably burned like at least 400, 500 calories.
You and me are like sweaty electrons, Kyle. We're just living in the same universe,
Well,
brother.
what'd you say about him? There's some other people out there than another dimension.
Dude, Michio Kaku has me thinking that we live in a box, just like that Rick and Morty episode, and I don't like it.
And the Earth is flat, and we're living in a dome.
See, that's where I don't have issues with flat earthers, but I've seen Monopoly boards and I've seen NASA pics, and it's just like one of these is way more believable. But like I get what you're saying, and yes, it is that game, but like it's definitely a sphere, you know, like we're definitely ball shaped, you know.
I love the theories. It's like, have your theory.
Dude, I love the Hollow Earth one where it's like there's a hole at the top where you can just go in, and it's like another dude's apartment in there. You know what I mean? It's like having a duplex.
I like that. I like that. What? Who else? I was reading, or I don't know what podcast it was. Is that the poles switch every so and how many years?
Interesting.
And we're like, what? He said like 200 million years overdue or something like that, or like or like 20. Sorry, maybe not 200. Like 20 million years overdue for the poles to switch.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's kind of crazy.
Dude, that seems like the most violent day of your life.
Yeah.
When the poles switch, like, imagine you're flying an airplane when the poles switch.
It'll be all right.
No, it won't. They're going the wrong direction. Right.
They'll be fine.
Dude, I've also heard, like, there's so many things about, like, how we hit the cycle. You know, like our year hits a cycle at 365. Your body replenishes its cells every 10 years or whatever. It's like your gut biome completely changes every decade of your life. Like, it's weird to think that we're way deeper in some kind of cyclical process than any of us can ever admit.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it's like
science, bitches.
Science, bitches. You think you get a full turn in this life? It's like, no, man, you're a flick, you know?
Right. Bill.
I had a weird thought when I was doing my yoga the other day because an ant was crawling on me. Because I was about to kill it, and I was like,
It's
no,
ant
dude.
season.
But, like, I spent all my time walking on the ants. It's about time I took my turn, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, I just did my yoga with the ants on me, dude. And, like,
I love that, though. That's nice.
they didn't bite me. They were cool.
Yeah,
There's some
chilling.
shitty ants out there that'll wreck you.
Yeah, there are some dickhead ants out there.
All my ants on my dad's side.
Right.
I don't mean that, Aunt Lisa. I love you. My Aunt Lisa's a G. When I was a kid, I saw her drinking Jack and Sprite. I've been a Jack and Sprite man since.
I love it, man.
That's the beverage right
I
there.
love it, man. Little makers and Sprite.
Dude, when we were on the way to Indy, you were like, I was like, you got coffee there? You're like, this is Captain.
This may not be Captain Coke. We just
He's in the back seat. That's legal.
Yeah, we got to start the gig off right. You know,
Yeah,
get a little
man.
warm, get a little warm and cozy.
You got anything that you're toying with for the next batch of music that like is really like halfway there? Like anything you want to expose yourself on right now?
Yeah.
I love that
Dude,
answer.
I wish I had my notebook. I really wish I had my notebook.
How dare you
but-
come to my home without your notebook?
So that's kind of like the gist of what it's going to, and then it kind of goes to a. I think I've played this for you maybe once or twice, but like we can try it.
Run it, brother.
Photo of you sitting on that breakfast nook one time. Every time I look, I get those butterflies creeping down my eyes. She's natural brunette, but dyes her hair red to match the fire in her soul. I know she's way too good for me. This beast has no chance with this beauty. But that's kind of like something like that. Yeah,
Chills,
something like
bro.
that.
That made my lower back sweat. That was beautiful, Kyle. That was.
I don't know the first verse yet, but something like that.
Yeah, I love the comments about the red hair and how you're masking that in yourself. That's great.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm a bad lyrics person. I don't retain lyrics at all.
Me too.
Yeah, and like in a similar way, like my songwriting style is I'm gonna play around here till something comes out of here. Then we're gonna try to figure out what came out of here, and then we're gonna work through this.
Yep.
And that way feels boom bop versus writing out lyrics and then trying to piece together how you would spill that to someone. It's like no chance on my end.
I agree, but keep giving it a chance.
Yeah.
Because I write the same way, and with that, what I just played you, I don't know the first verse like it's all written down, but that chorus I really liked. I didn't have any melody for it. It was just kind of just writing down because I may get caught on blast here, but I was on Tinder, and there's this beautiful redhead on there that we matched, and she was sitting there on a breakfast nook looking gorgeous, and you get that first time seeing like, golly, she's beautiful.
Dude, if you opened up your Tinder and the first exchange is a voice memo and it's that with a guy you just matched with, it's just like, how do you tell someone that you're not ready to be in love with them?
Right.
Because you're immediately breaking someone's heart there.
No, exposed.
Dude, it's such a weird thing the way that you can write really tender, meaningful music about nothing and nobody or faint things, and the romanticizing of the song spills over into regular life, and then you have to kind of sort through those things. Like
big time.
Like one of my favorite songs in my set, I wrote about this beautiful blonde gal that I've been seeing for a little while, and like my fiance loved this song. And it's about this girl that I used to see, and I always make this joke about this gal being crazy, which isn't fair to her, but it's just a funny bit to put on the front of the song. But it's like push. I'm gonna get that verb. I set up the verb.
Get that verb, baby.
You know what I'm saying, brother? The push, the pull, come save the fool you make of me. Do I got the key there? The push, the pull, come save the fool you make of me. Well, you got me out of eye. I'll kick out grasp and hold my half. What keeps me there? Your soft lips and paralyzing stare. But you leave me again. But you leave me again. I'm drowning in your sea of blue. Open, pray you'll see it too. No one comes to rescue me for what I see. So like,
and I need that.
Yeah, dude, you're like, what are those arpeggiators over there? I'm like, brother, watch people.
I love that song. That's a beautiful song.
You know, that part of the arrangement I've always felt like is such a trashy guitar player gimmick because anyone can play it. But it's
so sick.
It's the part that makes people happiest. And I'm like, wow, I need to really get out of my own head and have the arrogance to think that I'm too good for that part.
Dude,
that
it's
the part's
such a sick part.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah, dude. That's a great song, too.
Thank you, man. But it's weird where it's like, you know, I never formally dated this girl. Like we saw each other off and on for 2 years, and she was awesome. But the romance of that is so different from the romance of that. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like it accentuates in your own memory. You start to tie in the soundtrack that you've built to this person.
Yeah.
Even if the feelings weren't exact, even if it's a hyperbole or it's fictional in that kind of a way.
Yeah. I feel like if you do that, the feelings are multiplied in a big way.
Yeah, it's hard to utilize the muse in your normal life, knowing that you're gonna have these emotional reactions that you have to unpack from that. It's like I've written some shit about people that I find to be hurtful, that I find to be rude and just disrespectful in general. But that material has no reflection on them. And I'll play it for them, and I'll tell them that they inspired the song. I'm like, this doesn't have much to do with you at this point.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
What's your daydreaming track in the set? Like, what's the song that's most visual to you off the album?
Probably Demons.
Really?
Yeah, I would say Demons. I got a lot of flack on that song too.
Why?
I think Demons. The word demons. People are like, we don't like that. We don't like that word. I'm like, that's fine. You don't have to like it.
Yeah, I feel like that's intentional in some ways.
And I'm not meaning a demon, an evil demon's gonna come out and like get you, but it's like demon meaning like past scars. Like it'd be the same thing as me saying that, you know. But visually, for me, it's probably that, or Grown but Not Grown Up. Because that just makes me feel like I'm in a Disney movie.
Really?
Like running through the jungle. Yeah.
Would you run that for me for a second?
Oh, yeah, sure. And it's funny because it's just a G the whole time. And then that melody. See, this is where we need the loop better, but. Young and grown, but not grown up. Thinking about what I can do. Young and stupid, but not so dumb. Don't see all my mess ups. So let me get loose. Let me be free. Working towards a better version of me, I can guarantee. Let me get loose. Let me be free. Working towards a better version of me, I can guarantee. I guarantee. Take a sip and change this heart of mine. Take a sip and change this soul you'll never find. So let me get loose, let me be free. Working towards a better version of me, I can guarantee. Let me get loose, let me be free. Working towards a better version of me, I can guarantee, 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 guarantee. I'm so happy that you knew that melody line. That's great.
Sincerely, I listen to that album like 3 times a week. It's so good, man.
I love it, man. Thank you, brother.
Fuck yeah,
dude.
man.
I'm so excited for your EP to come out, man.
Thank you. I got to get together on that, man. But working on Tommy's EP and listening to your album is kind of like I put a lot of pressure on my friends to keep doing the things that I love about them, which is sometimes unfair and very annoying. But I think I do that wanting some of that pressure on myself to be reciprocated. And those 2 pieces of work have me screaming inside that I need to get this thing done. And like I've told you about the lost shit I went with this batch of material.
Yeah, man.
So there's something like about doing justice to myself for that experience of making sure this material is done and done right and done to my expectations and no one else's. Yeah. Because after that experience, I refuse to have anyone ever tell me what is good enough for my own art.
Yeah, fuck that.
Well, we're all going to find ourselves insecure again, thinking those same things. It's like that's just the battle of being an artist. Like me and the M watched La La Land yesterday.
I still have not seen that.
Dude, it's such a funny movie. It's like hardcore jazz is such an interesting world, But many times in the movie, he's walking out of a gig angry, whether it's at the staff or at the audience or what it is. And the statement is always, fuck them, fuck them. It's like, and it's like people don't understand that frustration is not with the audience. It's somewhat with the self, between yourself as the creator and the audience. It's like,
Sure.
You need to feel engaged by the music. You need to feel like you've given it your all. And think of all the people that feel like they have amazing songs in their catalog, and the one that they hate the most has made it to the top.
Right.
And it's like, is that a blessing and a curse? Like, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a lot of fuck 'em in that. But you got to appreciate those songs for however they come into your life.
Sure.
So in this batch of songs, it's like, I appreciate what they've gone through with me, what this book of material means. Like, the amount of times I've played these songs for different people in different rooms, recorded different ways, and been unsatisfied with the mirror of myself, of who I'm trying to reflect in that. It's like, now that I'm getting my hands dirty and I'm screaming at a computer for hours alone in the basement,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm arriving at the reflection that I wanted to see. And maybe that's jaded and misguided, but I'm getting somewhere.
So can I ask you a question? Because I used to have the home studio. I do the same thing, right? And it's so rewarding to mix and master your own stuff. Because I mean, you can spend 8 hours in there and not be paying buku bucks, right? And it's like your own ear. It's your own sound of how you want it to sound. Do you find yourself going back and forth between little tiny tweaks and EQs, or like different compressors that, you know, maybe one day you'll be really happy with it and then you'll listen to it the next day, you're like, gosh, this sounds like trash?
Yeah. I haven't changed too much in that because I think I'm still a novice in that regard.
Okay.
Like, there's been a couple of times during the process where I'll be doing something one way and I'll discover a better way of doing it, and then I'll have to do it to everything, like
Sure.
all 4 songs on the EP, every single track. This aspect of the compression needs to change. I didn't understand that. Or like, thankfully for some of the equipment that I've been using, like, I'll find a compressor I like better.
Okay.
So I'll go back and I'll reapply, or like, you know, whether you're going to EQ before your compression or after your compression.
Sure.
I heard someone say the other day on YouTube, like, you put your compression before your EQ so you can find out what the glaring issues are after they've been accentuated,
Yeah.
after things have been tightened. It's like, I would always assume EQ is top of the chain, and that's how you fit that in. So little aha moments like that have me really tweaking for the 8 hours.
Sure.
But for the most part, I'm trying to be relatively broad stroke. I tried to record everything, come in and do the production elements, you know, cut, twist,
Yep.
do whatever I needed to, and then one by one, mix, master, done, mix, master, done.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm going back in and picking at stuff again, and that's like, when I'm sitting in that 90% category is when I'm struggling the most to take my
Sure.
hands off. But yeah, I guess the right answer to your question is yes, a ton. I'm staring at the stuff, reworking it, you know.
Well, it's good that like you started with the recording aspect of it and then not tried to mix anything and just produce.
Yeah.
Right. For me, that's where I struggle with, because I want it to sound great right now.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like then you're screwing up your whole mix and your master because you're messing around with EQs already, like right when you record.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Well, and there's something awesome about the universal audio stuff where you can record through your mixer. So like what I got up here for our compressors on the show and whatnot. It's like I'll record through a compressor. I'll start with something I think is passable, and then I'll tell myself, like, my logic chain is now clean. There's nothing on there. There's a compressor printed on there, and I could have messed up the take permanently. But, like, that's the risk of let's get somewhere, but not all the way there.
Sure.
And let's agree to not have anything that's changeable later on, because I don't need to be focusing on that.
I like that. That's a nice halfway point to meet in the middle.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I think for guitar players, it's weird to not record through your effects, you know? Like,
Yeah.
So the guitar tune has to be dialed in for the most part. Like, if there's too much low end, like, that should be glaringly obvious to me when I'm tracking it.
Right.
Inevitably, I will change some things about that. Like, I guess the biggest learning curve for me in this whole process has been, like, look at, 20 to 20 on your EQ, and the fact that you have all this sonic space but you're not looking for anything to occupy all that space. You're looking for it to occupy just its own piece.
Yeah.
So how you keep things in their lane and keep us moving as a linear, wall of sound is such a perceptual trip.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, especially with keys and guitar and things like that that sit in the same range.
Yeah, it is. It is hard to find. Like, everybody does have their space, and how do we get everybody in their own space?
Yeah.
That's where kind of like left and right and panning come in big time.
Yeah, and things that cross the stereo field are so
Yeah.
interesting. It's like, and Andrew, I was complimenting Andrew on the Feels album because I guess it's on Supportive, where you have that huge EQ sweep on the bass.
Yeah.
It was Is that the line?
Yeah.
Is that a G?
Yeah. But he does just like a big bass line to that, and then he kind of filter sweeps that. Oh no, I guess he doesn't do it on the slide. Yeah, he does it
Yeah, I
when he's
think
doing the bass line.
It slides and that starts into the envelope
Yeah.
widening, and it's like until you're really invested, with headphones and you're in a place where you can really take in the album, you don't realize how much fun it is to ride mentally with that filter.
Yeah.
So having elements in the recording process, like there's one particular bridge where I was like, there's way too much going on. I just want to pull everything off of this. And it was just my vocal and a background vocal.
Pull it off, dog.
And I put a delay on the background vocal, so it's just bouncing between here,
Yeah.
behind this vocal and like between the stereo fields. Like, that's enough interest for me.
Yeah.
And thank God it's finally thin enough.
Dude, I love that you're thinking that way, dude, because I feel like simplicity is so beautiful in music, especially when like you're a great artist like yourself, where you want to have all these melody parts, you want to have all these interesting things, but being able to pull the rug out of somebody after hearing all these things, and then just having some cool effect where it's just you doing something,
Yeah.
and then bringing everything back in
Yeah.
is nice.
And it's really helped me for live performance too, because like I don't play with other guitar players often, like probably you almost as much as anybody else. But my big conundrum there is I don't feel like we move as a guitar sound. We move as two guitar players kind of fighting in the same range.
Sure.
And I struggle with that. But now I'm finding that, okay, shorter, more accented pieces around where they're at is going to be way more fun for me than playing together, quote unquote.
Sure.
And if we are playing together, get out of his range. It's like move up a couple positions, And if you can't think your way through that, skinny up again.
Right.
One note, one every four hits, like just something like that.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Like if you just really get patient on it, then you'll start having fun. But I was overplaying to everybody.
Really?
Yeah, and I think that's just it's part of being a solo act that plays by
Yeah.
themselves a lot, where you're accountable for all those things.
Sure.
And then to go without the looper, like we were talking about, where it's like, now I am not accountable for the groove or the bass or what the keys are doing or this horn line that's coming up.
Yeah.
So where do I fit in my own song now?
Sure.
It's kind of like you need to take your ego out of it, but it's hard to take your ego out of your own songs.
You also have to kind of like practice without the loop pedal too, which is tough to do.
Yes.
It's like, okay, how do I make this song still sound full without the loop pedal? Which I don't do, which I should do, because it's like, it's so much more fun to play with the loop pedal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, on you just playing Grown But Not Grown Up there, it's just like, I've never noticed how tasty that, like that little suspension is, and the way you play that especially. It's like,
Thanks, brother.
Those kind of things are so much sexier when you see a guy play it for the 15th time in a song, and it's still rock solid.
Oh, it's just me being a lazy guitar player.
No, man, it's like if a drummer has this really minimal groove that's just got you in the trance.
Yeah.
It has you thinking like that. It has you moving like that.
Sure.
The wedding bands really helped me in a lot of regards to appreciating great guitar parts and learning that guitar part and forcing myself to make it work. Because sometimes you'll spend all this time learning a part. You'll show up on the gig and someone else didn't learn the part that they were supposed to for the record. So now you're trying to account for what you learned plus what is missing. And it's like, it helps you enjoy the jigsaw puzzle a little bit more.
Sure.
It's like, maybe I'm two pieces today. Maybe I'm all the pieces today. Maybe I'm just the corner.
Yeah.
You know, and like how valuable it is to just do what you're there to do.
Textures, baby.
Textures,
It's so
baby.
important.
Yeah, dude. Especially with like the weird funk stuff. Like I'm realizing how much Great Parliament records just have artifacts of sounds and interests. It's like they're not musical, but they're so musical.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It sounds like Money, where it's like a cash register's being played
Sure.
on you know, like I heard that's the only Pink Floyd song that ever reached the top 20. Was
Really?
Money, yeah. But it's
It's
so
a banging song.
yeah, it's in 7 and it's just incredibly funky. It's like
Yeah.
how do you
That's such a nasty lick. Like right off the bat, like they had me hooked. I'm
Yes.
like, oh, this is gross. And then you have that ching, all that like, oh, I loved it.
Dude, I'm trying to arrange these next couple EPs after this, and like that's where I get a little too heady and interested in my own garbage, you know, like because I got a lot of songs I'm trying to squeeze into what feels like a good 4-pack.
Sure.
You know, like what's the value in this? And I got this weird one that I won't play for you that I don't know what I'm gonna do with.
Okay.
I think I think the name of this is I found it on the internet.
Okay.
I found it on the internet. Turn a freak on the internet. Spooky. That's my mind on the internet. Got 6 cents for scrolling, maybe it's a rolling, but mankind speed downhill. That free, that feel, that spill. Caught me on the gram, cool, kicking, just strolling. Run it back, we roll it. Oops, look at that. Found right in, can't put it down. Both hands on the wheel. Is it real? Can I steal? What's the deal? Ha ha. I found it on the internet. Turn a freak on the internet. Okay. That's my mind on the internet. Ooh, look at who you've been saying it is. Giving the business. I don't want to resist. But I can't put you on my side, so I spot and subscribe. I'm blowing my mind. Find the premium side of your DMs. Looking for all you're getting is a little discount, cause you missed out on the promo code. Can't get you those, can't get you those. I found it on the internet. Turn a freak on the internet. Spooky. That's my mind on the internet. Is that A flat? You mind give me a little stank?
Oh shoot. Say what?
I found it on the internet. Turn a freak on the internet. Spooky. I found it on the internet. I found it on the internet. Oh, Kyle Hackett.
That's nasty, bro.
You made my day right there.
I like that. I found it on the internet. I want to hear that with drums and bass.
Yeah,
badly.
dude. Sometimes I write shit where I'm like, I just can't show this to my friends yet. You know what I
That's
mean?
fair.
But then I'll run it on gigs. I'm like, okay, I'm having fun with it, so I'll bring it to Nick and Kane and or whoever's playing bass at the time. Like they did some murderous things with that new one. But they say she like it hot. Don't stop when the ball back. That's when she likes to show me out. The beat to stop, make your legs fall off. No. Make me a slave to your mules,
Yeah.
please. Yeah, dude, they did some weird shit on that, like when they make the intros, they're putting hits on the and it's like that's the stuff that the songwriters can't get to. They're working too much on the song, and then you come in with the arrangement like that. And
Yeah.
It's like,
I love when you hit that bass line and you hit that like I don't even know, like that bass boost on your boom, 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 boom,
yes, yeah, just that thick ass. How do you do your octaves?
I don't. No.
You don't have any bass lines?
Mm-mm. Well, I have some bass lines that I play, but nothing like a bass boost or like a bass.
Like a real octave pedal.
Yeah.
Man, I've been using this, like, there's the, I think there's the OC2, which is like the original octave pedal, which is analog. And then there's like the one I have, which is like a digital. And it gives you 1 octave below and then 2 octaves below. And the second octave below will ruin any room that I'm in if I'm not thinking about it. Like, if
Really?
it's too guttural.
Sure.
You know? But with the right set of subs, I mean, I'm pretty sure I have access to the brown note with that thing. Like, I'm pretty sure I can make someone involuntarily shit with that.
Pants.
Yeah. And, like, hopefully it will be like some dirty, dirty funk of some sort.
One at some point, I just want to see it done, and if it's to me, that's fine. I want to make sure it works. So I'm like, does this actually fucking work, or are you just bullshitting people?
If anyone should try it, it should be NASA.
Yeah.
Because they have the access to say, like, this is for science. What if
Sure.
you're in space and someone hits a sweet, you know, like, super low B, you know?
But, like, science bitches, first off. But, like, you know, I'll do it for science. You know? Like, for science. I say that shit all the time.
It's 2 dudes at a pilot sitting in a truck with huge subs just trying to find this.
Hands on the window. All right, here we go.
You want to ruin someone's day? Look up frequency sweep on YouTube and play that like in the middle of your cue. So they just feel like the lowest note your car can make all the way up to the highest note your car can make.
Oh, God.
And then just act like that's a ditty that you like.
Oh, no.
You know, sometimes
You're an evil man, Matt Waters.
it's a great way to test out if your speakers are shitting
Sure.
out, though. Like, you'll really find out what frequency you have a crack at. And, like,
That's true.
I don't know if you can do anything about that. I've never fixed a cone.
I haven't either.
Yeah, I have one of those EV15s that's down here. That I don't even know why this one doesn't work. I just have one 15 that just won't
Doesn't work?
Yeah, just it has
Doesn't
no
turn on,
it has
nothing?
no booty. You know, like there's
Just thin?
Yeah, it's
Huh.
it's just high end, just a horn. Or maybe it's the other way. Maybe it has no horn and just booty. I can't remember.
You probably just got to replace a little horn or cone or something.
Yeah, I looked at replacing like the head unit, and I was like, it's pretty much get another speaker at that point.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, PA is such a shitty thing though for all of us, where it's like, it's all gonna get outdated.
Yeah.
It's all gonna fall apart. It's all gonna lose its value, but it's a must.
It's a must.
And also it's a big quality judge of what kind of gigs you can get.
Yeah,
Like
for
if you
sure.
have dirty gear, people just won't call you for
It's gotta
stuff.
be, yeah, and if your sound sounds like trash, you're not gonna get paid what you might or you probably should be getting paid.
Yeah.
And if you're gigging 3 or 4 times a week, that wear and tear just goes like that, like
Yes.
very fast.
Yeah, it compounds super hard. And also I feel like I lose my voice a lot if my system doesn't sound right. Like if I'm having to scream to get over my system,
Sure.
or if I'm just not listening well enough. Like that's why I do the in-ears thing so much, is because I was just losing my voice every single week, and I still lose parts of my singing voice, until my off day of each week. But like someone like Max, where like Max has this big, beautiful, booming voice,
Yeah.
and I'm like, brother, if you don't get to hear that and you have to push that way, like he does sing great from his diaphragm.
does, yeah.
But he was telling me like, yeah, I'm losing my voice. It's like, you don't have a wedge, brother. You know,
Yeah,
you
you got to get a monitor set up or something, dude.
You got to be able to hear yourself in that.
Yeah. And it'll help you sing better, too.
Yeah. It'll make you more aware.
Yeah.
And like sometimes those awareness, like the in-ears thing is a lot of awareness that I don't want to have. And if you don't sweeten it up with some verb and like EQ that thing right, like it's not fun to be in your dome like that. But
listening to your own voice dry is one of, like, if you wanted to torture me, or like if there is a hell, that's what it's gonna be. It's just gonna be a dry of my voice, and I have to listen to it constantly. So make it stop,
dude. Do you have a particular type of verb you like on your voice?
Not really.
Open to whatever.
Yeah. Just a little something wet.
Yeah. As guitar players, like we grew up with like probably like the last era of great spring reverb in like beginner level amps. Like I remembered my God, what was the name of that amp? I had I think a Hot Rod, a Fender Hot Rod series or something like that. And it had the tank in the back that if I'm on some shitty stage for like a high school event and I put my foot to the floor, you're going to hear this thing ring out.
Yeah.
And like there's something cool about that, but it was mainly awful at the time.
For sure. I wish I was better with gear. I'm really not a gearhead at all.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know why. That's probably why I don't have too much connection with the instrument that I'm playing. It's like if it sounds good, you know,
Job's
like,
done.
Cool. Like, let's go get it.
But I feel like you have great choices in your equipment. You just don't indulge in the hobby of the coveting after other people's stuff. Like
Sure.
that Roland amp you got, like that's the same series of Roland that I love using, man, because it takes effects so well.
Yeah.
It sits at the front of the mix. But you said you got kind of dry on that after a while.
It's still there.
Okay.
I feel like I should have gotten a bigger size. It's more like a practice amp. Like I
Gotcha.
can still mic it up and it'll sound good.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, I miss my tube amp sounds, dog. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it does take effects really well.
Yeah.
But gosh, man, there's something so creamy about a good juicy tube amp.
Dude, I love using both the tube and that because they have such different shape and color.
Oh, I like that.
Like there's something about solid state amps where like they're very percussive in a way that's almost like harsh.
Yeah.
Versus tubes get that natural saturation if you push them right. Like I've never done the attenuator thing.
What is that?
Attenuators are like, so say your amp sounds best at 6,
Okay.
but turning it up to 6 is inconceivably loud for the room.
Okay.
You put an attenuator on there so you can hit it with a lot of juice. Like you can almost dime your amp, but then you can set the volume. It's like adding another gain
Oh, I like
stage.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like we're going to push the system, but we're going to control the output a lot more.
Okay.
And I feel like a lot of plugins, like that's, you know, like the Marshall plugins that come with the universal audio stuff, like that's what they want you to be able to do. Fucking dime it the way that Jimmy would like it,
Sure.
but not have to deal with the feedback and the destruction of the equipment and whatnot.
Sure. That's smart.
Yeah.
I never heard of that.
Yeah, some guys will have an attenuator and it sits in the back of their amp. It just looks like a little one knob.
Okay.
But I just got so sick of carrying amps around, and also I was carrying more PA. So like that Helix thing, just having simulators in there's fun. But when I run my Helix into my amps again, it's like, oh man, I've been missing out,
Yeah.
haven't I? It's like, God, I'm gonna start carrying an amp around again. But I have one of those little Rolands I take around with me too. It's like, does
They
the
do the job, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want it, I mean, they're not that heavy.
Yeah.
They're portable.
It's always nice when there's a house amp, though. I went to this place called Jamie's House of Music, and they had this very pretty little Princeton, like
Oh,
like
let's
an
go.
80s or 90s Princeton that just sounded great. Put my Flying V into it. I'm like, I'm fucking Lenny
We
Kravitz,
need to
brother.
get a petition with all the artists to sign that there has to be house amps in all establishments from here on
Dude,
out.
What would you advise to a venue to get for a house amp?
That would be your specialties. I have no clue. Like
Yeah.
I said, I'm not a gearhead. Something that sounds good and people can plug in and play.
Yeah, I feel like at one point in time I bought one of like the big Fender twin reverbs, like one of the real fat Fender amps.
Yeah.
And like you look at like the goats using it, like John Fogerty would take his twin reverb to the back of the stage and point it into a cornfield and dime it, and then they would mic that thing.
Oh, I
and,
love that.
yeah, but just like so, someone 3 miles away is just hearing,
Just shredding.
dude, just the lead lines. It's just like, what? How do you expect that to be functional for your setup, man? You know?
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah. Also, I love the in-ears thing because that means all the volume comes from the mains and it comes directly at you. It doesn't sound like the mains and then their monitors. It
So
doesn't
you're
sound
different. It's not the different mix from the monitors to mains. That is nice.
exactly like they don't have to worry about the monitor mix at all, and I can hear exactly what I want. But then that front of house engineer gets the freedom that they need to clean this up and make it nice.
Sure.
You know?
That is nice.
Yeah, dude. It's at least feedback free most of the time.
Most of the time.
If you get feedback with your in-ears, like
Oh.
that's a different type of hell. That's
Oh,
like
gosh, I can only imagine.
that's like taking a lobotomy through the eardrum. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
golly.
The old sunny side up.
Yeah.
The morning scramble.
Oh, the morning scramble. Oh.
Well, brother, it's about time we wrap this up. Is there anything you want to promote?
Yeah, man. We have a couple shows coming up. Let me
And this probably won't air for, say, 4 weeks, 5 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, so we got a couple shows coming up in June. We'll be at Fretboard. The Fields will be June 23rd, and then
What night of the week is that?
that's a Friday.
Okay.
And then June 30th, the Fields are going to be at the official opening for Fretboard at Norwood. So they're opening up a new spot. Yeah, so that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that. And then also July 29th, right?
July 29th.
July 29th.
You said that, and I was like, that sounds familiar. The Recipe Family Cookout.
The Recipe Family Cookout, dude. I'm looking forward to that.
Do you think you'll double dip on gigs that day, or are you going to be hanging around?
I don't know. I kind of just want to hang around and hang out. And
if you have time for it, I'd love to pull you up during the set and kick it for a little bit.
Doug, yeah.
I think your slot's 4 o'clock.
The early one.
Yeah, so we'll have some good kicking around. It's also BYOB for everyone that wants to come out with a cooler and a good time.
Beautiful.
Yeah. On the way out, would you mind running a little bit of Snakes for him?
Oh, okay. If you play on it, sure.
I would love that.
Well, honey, beware of the man out there. It's cold in here and you cannot see anywhere. Well, I'm crying out for hope that these snakes don't keep on pushing closer to you. Keep on pushing. Well, honey, beware of the men out there. It's cold in here and I cannot see anywhere. Well, I'm crying out for peace, that these snakes don't keep on pushing closer to me, closer to me, pushing closer, that these snakes don't keep on pushing. Little sneaky peekies.
I adore that song so much, Kyle.
I love you on that too, man.
Well, and most importantly, I love you, brother.
I love you, man.
You are a treasure to this city and in my life, so thanks for coming
You're
on.
a sweetheart. Thanks for having me, man.
Hey, listen, players, you find Kyle Hackett wherever you want to stream. There's good things on the way. The Recipe Family Cookout on July 29th. The new Fretboard location, Friday, June 23rd in Norwood. My friends, much love. In the meantime, squeeze somebody who needs it. Peace, players.